All right. Hello and welcome. Hopefully I'm live. Hopefully you can hear me. Let me know if my audio is good and my video is good and you guys are here with me. Thanks for being here. Looking forward to another episode of Q&A, Investing in Ecuador. Jesse Bayer here, Abundant Living Ecuador. We are a real estate and development company located in the Southern Andes in the Loja region, Vilcabamba region of the Andes of Southern Ecuador. Again, thank you for tuning in. Looking forward to chatting with you guys again today. We are closing in on the release of our retreat. So that's coming up here in the next short period of time. We should be about a week away from today, approximately, to having a live website to be able to sign up for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. I believe July 16th, if I remember correctly, is the start date. So yeah, if you're looking to get sort of a leg up on seeing if Vilcabamba is right for you, integrating into the community and the whole region, doing all kinds of, really getting to know the area, getting the full scope of info, experts, topics, Q&A, areas, culture, et cetera, properties as well. That's going to be really fun. So be on the lookout for that. We're also going to have an investing seminar, in fact, in that retreat, as well as several panels and presentations on various aspects that relate to investing in life here and real estate here, such as taxes and the legal aspects and so on and so forth. So thanks again for joining, guys. Throw the questions in the comments. We're here to talk investing. Be here for about a half an hour approximately. Hope everybody is having a good Friday, end of the week. I know that still means a lot in a lot of places. Even to me, I take it a little bit easier on the weekend. So thanks for joining. Okay. First question. Are four-wheelers and other ATVs available for purchase or rental in Vilcabamba or nearby? Yeah, they're widely available for both. In the city of Loja, you can buy four-wheelers, all-terrain vehicles widely. They're available everywhere in the country. They're available any city they're sold. There's of course a large secondhand market as well for those types of vehicles, and you can rent them as well in Vilcabamba. Let's see, they certainly rent motorcycles. Do they rent quads? I think they do. I'm pretty sure they do. I'm actually not 100% positive if they rent them in Vilcabamba, but they definitely rent motorcycles, dirt bikes, things like that. I think you can probably get a quad as well. So Vitaly, Joshua, Ave, thank you for being here. Throw the questions right there in the chat and I'll do my best to get them answered. Is there something like a chamber of commerce in and around Vilcabamba? There's the Cámara de Comercio, which is the Chamber of Commerce, and there's one in Loja. There's nothing like that I'm aware of in Vilcabamba, but Loja is the city in the region. It's 45 minutes outside of Vilcabamba. It's where, people go to the large supermarkets and to go, furniture shopping and things like that. Generally speaking, a lot of those things are happening in Loja, and there is a Chamber of Commerce there. And that's a nationwide network. They're all over the country, any large city. Excuse me. I've never really interacted with them all that much, so I don't know exactly what services they provide or what they do, but they are definitely there. My wife and I will be able to participate in the retreat with our little one. She'll be only 2. Yeah, we are definitely going to allow kids, 2-year-old under 3, I believe it will be free. And then there'll be a $500 fee, I think, for children who are 3 and over. So absolutely, you can bring your kids. We're going to actually have some really fun activities for the kids. The hotel that we're renting for this retreat, and even the second hotel, if there's too many people and we need overflow, are really beautiful. They have, they have hot tub and pool and steam room and all kinds of stuff like that, restaurant, etc. So there, and lots of area, lots of grounds. So they're a great place for kids to be. We're going to have some activities and some sort of babysitter types as well to take care of the kids and make sure they're having fun and well taken care of. So yeah, kids can come along, if they need to on the various outings and activities, but they'll also have the option to stay at the hotel and be taken care of there as well. What is the tax rate on rental income? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't know the exact answer to that question. I haven't gotten in that business extensively, but I believe that they treat rental income as income. I don't think that there's a difference, but that's actually something I should know, but I'm not 100% familiar with that, with that that aspect of the tax code. Certainly, I can put you in touch with somebody. I have a phenomenal accountant who handles all that stuff for us. But I believe it's treated as normal income, and the income rate here. Well, look, there's a lot of ways to avoid paying taxes on investments, on income, on all kinds of stuff. So, I would definitely pay attention to how you structure your businesses. If you're gonna do business, you're gonna have a rental income producing property. But yeah, if you're getting rental income, you're supposed to, and I think they may even treat that a little bit differently in rural versus urban. Yeah, I'm not an expert on that stuff, but if you have a rental income producing property, you have to give a factura, which is like a tax receipt. And you're supposed to charge the 12%, which is the EVA, the value added tax, and then you're supposed to report it as income. But there's definitely ways to offset a lot of that income, if not most of that income, so that you're paying very, very low tax rate. Yeah, Joshua, I hope to have you down. I think it will be fun. Carl's the retreat we're talking about. Carl will be leading it, so he's really a knowledgeable guy and a great personality. He's been in Vilca for 10 plus years. And then all of us will be involved as far as, interacting and giving presentations, Q&As, etc. We'll be sampling all of the best restaurants in Vilcabamba, so that'll be a lot of fun. There's a lot of pretty good places to eat here, especially for Ecuador as far as international cuisine. I think Vilcabamba has much better restaurants than Loja. Vilcabamba is a town, maybe about 8,000, and Loja is about a 250,000 person city. And the restaurants, I think are quite a bit higher quality in general in Vilcabamba. So should be a good time. All right, let me know, guys, if you have any more questions on investing. Again, I'll answer them the best I can. Going back to that rental question, rental income producing properties here is an interesting business. There's I go back to that business a bit in New York. I haven't gotten into that business here, although we're looking at some of those options now. In New York, I remember when I was, looking at buildings, the metrics people were looking for was, 10, 12 or so times rent roll is what people were looking for, as a metric to, considered to be a decent buy. I had found a building there for about 10 times rent roll. That was, really good at that time. Obviously, those numbers fluctuate with the market and rents and everything else. Here in the past, at least in the cities, it's been somewhat hard to find that. So there's certain places that I don't think that business has as good a metrics as it does back home, whereas there's other businesses here in Ecuador that have much better net returns than they do back home. That being said, there's really an opportunity. There's sort of a niche in that market now with smaller apartments in rural areas. So that sounds funny, but in the towns, right, that are big enough to have apartments, smaller apartments, the numbers work pretty well on that. And then the numbers I like even better are small houses, small, inexpensive houses in places people want to live that are convenient. The numbers work pretty well on that, especially if you're sort of buying a piece of land, building them yourself and setting them up really for rentals. If you throw the Airbnb model into that, then the numbers look phenomenal. So there's certainly money to be made on rentals and Airbnb for sure. But again, some of the other opportunities, developing land, subdividing land, agriculture, etc., to me are better opportunities in general than rentals. But again, I'm into, sort of reoccurring income as well. So that's something that we're looking at pretty closely right now. We're actually also in the process of launching a fund that people will be able to buy into and just get those passive returns. And we'll be able to, we'll be able to produce quite a bit better returns than probably almost any of those investments, in places like the US and other places. So thanks for the question. Let me know if you guys have any more. Beautiful day here today in Vilcabamba, Ecuador. I got the mountains behind me. That's the sun rises on that side of the valley. That is east mostly from here. I guess probably looking more, a little bit maybe more northeast. And then the sun sets over here in this direction. we're in the changeover from rainy season to dry season. This was a rainy season where we had a lot of rain, which is a bit unusual. Usually rainy season is, just moderate amount of rain and not a huge encumbrance by any stretch. Usually it's just a, sort of a shower in the afternoon. Sometimes it rains overnight. This year we got a lot of rain, which some people like, some people don't. Certainly is good for the land and crops in general and things like that. And now in May is the switchover month. We've got already, it's much less rain. And by June, the rains will be pretty much gone until November when they come back. All right. Joshua, says, in this inflationary world we live in, can you think of anywhere better to be than Ecuador? Joshua, I cannot. I'm sure there's other places that rival it. I'm not deeply researched on all the places in the world. I'm sure there's places with similar characteristics, but what I'm very pleased about as far as the investment landscape and just for life in Ecuador is that the things that are getting more expensive and the things that are getting harder to get. I'll start with the more expensive. Things that are getting more expensive are the things Ecuador produces. So Ecuador is not a consumer culture. Ecuador is a producer, mostly of agriculture, right? And so food is getting more expensive, meaning Ecuador and Ecuadorians will benefit from that essentially, right? As the price of what they produce goes up. And then if you talk about construction, other things that are, getting a little more expensive, those are getting a bit more expensive here. However, people here are very used to very alternative building methods. So even that is not a huge issue. There's no winter here. There's no concern. There's no shortages of anything as far as, everybody here grows food. You don't have to worry about that at all. There's no winter, even if there was a gas or, power went out or something crazy like that. It wouldn't be a huge deal here, and at least in rural Ecuador. So yeah, it's a natural resource rich country too, right? So inflation causes those prices to skyrocket. Ecuador has oil and copper and gold and silver and on and on and on. So yeah, it's really a good place to be, I think, in this environment for sure, and for investing as well. Brian, yeah, it's an interesting concept, and we're actually not very many months away from having that live. Albert says, how close of a relationship, political and economic, does Ecuador have with China, and is the leadership influenced by them? That's a great question. So Ecuador has had, under Rafael Correa, certainly, and probably a good amount under his successor, Lenin Moreno, and then much less so under the current president, Guillermo Lasso, but has had a very close relationship with China. China has financed a lot of Ecuador's debt, unfortunately, I would say, and they've worked out some pretty favorable deals for China, securing the rights to natural resources, to buy natural resources first, et cetera, for essentially high interest loans in many cases. So that's kind of the one of the maybe two downsides to me of Ecuador a little bit. That being said, the political winds currently are not in that direction at all. The U.S., and I think it was in Trump's last days, I want to say, in office, or it might have been in Biden's beginning of Biden, I don't remember, but has refinanced some of Ecuador's debt that they owed to China at very low interest rates, just to help them pay it off and not be out from under at least that piece of debt to China. So the current political party and power and so on and so forth is absolutely not aligned with China. I personally hope that continues, but there has been some of that certainly in the past. But yeah, you don't see his leadership influenced by them. I mean, Rafael Correa was certainly, that was some years back. He left office in 2016. Not currently, I would say. Nice green screen. Yeah, no, believe it or not, that's real. Can you rattle off, as you have before, the relative altitudes of the different towns and the effect on rainy season and mosquitoes and crops grown in different areas? Well, the thing with crops, so first of all, if we're doing some agriculture in this region, it's a region that's prime for agriculture in the sense that certain crops do really well here. That being said, if you're going to do large agricultural production, this is probably, there's certain things you would do in this area, perhaps like coffee, sugarcane, things like that. But in general, you're going to probably want to go somewhere where your bang for the buck is a little better. So, we can talk about that, Pablo, if you want to shoot me an email, and we can, set up a call or whatever and have a good conversation on agricultural investment. But there's some areas that, you can still invest in that's prime agricultural land, in my opinion. That's 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, up to about 5,000 a hectare, that have prime conditions and are not sought after for residential use. So the prices are much low. They're perfect for agriculture, so on and so forth. The thing about this region is that a lot of it is just, it has higher value for residential use than it does for agriculture. So it's just not necessarily the best bang for your buck. Even the agricultural project that we're doing in this area has a subdivision potential residential sale built into it, because we understand that those values are increasing rapidly, and at some point the numbers might make more sense to sell lots or sell houses or develop it out in some way, than to continue with the agriculture, even though the returns on the agriculture are really good. As far as the climate in the area, so Loja is the city. It's up around 6,500 feet. It's cooler. It's gets year-round rain. It's comfortable climate. It's a little cold for me, but a lot of people really like it. It's basically 60s and 70s nearly all the time. Gets down in the 50s, occasionally the 40s, but not very often at night. That's Loja. Once you get into this, in south of Loja, it goes down in elevation, and it goes up and then immediately down in elevation. There's some higher areas around the city in the mountains, and also Cajanuma, which is south, that are even colder than Loja, more like Cuenca type weather. Cuenca is pretty cold. And then as you get down into into Rumishitana, for example, which is about 15, 20 minutes outside of Loja, you still get the rain there. It's kind of in between. It's around, I don't know, 6,000 feet or so, 6,500, no, probably 6,000 at the most, actually, about 6,000 feet in elevation. So sort of a climate in between Loja and like Malacatos, or Loja and Vilcabamba. Then as you keep going down, you get into places like Nangora, Landangi. There's now a dry season. There's plenty of crops do well in all these areas, but again, I don't know that that's necessarily the best use of the land in this area, although there are opportunities in that here and there. And then you get into Landangi as you go, and then Malacatos, that's all like Malacatos Valley. As you go west of Malacatos, it gets drier pretty quickly. So you get out towards, desert-like conditions is maybe a little strong of a way to put it, but it's definitely drier. The air is very dry. It smells great. It's really nice air. And of course, the air close to the park is also amazing, but it's very different. So it kind of depends what you're looking for there. Then as you go south, Vilcabamba, Malacatos have similar climates. Malacatos maybe half a degree warmer, and an eighth of a point drier, but essentially the same climate. Then from there, you've got Kinara. That's 20 minutes from Vilcabamba. That is maybe a degree warmer than Vilcabamba, or two at the most, probably one, and a little bit drier as well. And then a little further south of Vilcabamba is Yangana. That's a nice area. That's about 6,000 or so, a little higher in some places, feet in elevation, a little bit warmer than Loja, cooler than Vilcabamba, more rain than Vilcabamba. That's still an agricultural area. I mean, Kinara is as well, but I think that's starting to change. Land is still pretty cheap, as once you get about 15, 20 minutes outside of either Malacatos or Vilcabamba, prices go down pretty quickly. Okay. How's the bandwidth in Vilcabamba? It's great. We've got fiber optic now in this whole region. I don't know if it's most of Ecuador, because I don't spend enough time in other places, but I think it's most of Ecuador, and certainly in this entire region, there's now fiber optic just about everywhere. So bandwidth is great. Internet's great. There's no issues there at all. Pick a plan, cheap. Even I think I'm on the cheapest plan right now. I think it's like $25 a month, and it meets our needs completely. I watch, we stream all kinds of stuff all the time. So, okay. Are automatic transmission vehicles hard to find around there? A little bit harder. Yeah, they're not as common at all as back home. You can definitely find them. I mean, I have multiple friends that drive them. We had two actually for a while. So you can definitely find them, but they're less common for sure. What are some of the dangers of living in the area? Great question. What are dangers here? I mean, I guess I can talk about stuff. I guess it's the normal stuff that you'd find probably anywhere in the world, but in general, I mean, the safety here is A plus. I mean, it's unbelievably safe area. There's definitely areas in Ecuador that aren't as safe. For example, if you go into Zamora and some of the Orient, they have snakes that occasionally, something happens. If you go into some of the bigger cities like Guayaquil, certainly, Guayaquil's pretty dangerous. You can get, there's things that go on there danger wise with people. In this region, I mean, poisonous snakes do exist in this region. You don't have to worry about them. In my almost 9 years of being here, I've seen one once, a poisonous snake, and I've heard of one coming close to biting somebody once. So once each on that. I've never heard of anyone getting bit. I've never heard of anyone going to the hospital or dying or anything like that. So there's not really any sort of wild animal that I'm aware of that you have to actually worry about, other than that, which again, no one worries about. It's not really an issue, but they do exist. Beyond that, I don't think there's crazy spiders you have to worry about. I've never heard of anything like that. They do have, occasionally you'll see a tarantula, but they're not deadly. They're like a bad bee bite. I've never been bitten by one. Almost no one's ever been bitten by one, but they do exist. As far as safety, like personal safety, getting robbed or things like that, I mean, almost zero. I mean, I would say less than just about anywhere in the U.S. Home break-ins happen occasionally. They're very rarely. There's been a few instances in Vilcabamba over the last 15 years where there's been like violent home break-ins, but very few. I mean, very, very few. Generally speaking, any home break-ins that happen are sort of opportunistic, right? So somebody will know you're out and they'll go through a window and steal a computer, something like that. But yeah, there's really almost no danger in this area. I mean, people here are great. The culture is great. It's really a nice culture. Okay, let's see what we got here. Is there stuff like hang gliding, paragliding, paramotor, skydiving? It's funny. My buddy's trying to get me to buy one of those paramotors. It looks really cool. I think I'm gonna end up buying one with him at some point. Yeah, there's some paragliding. I've seen that. There's certainly parasailing on the coast and all that kind of stuff as well. Skydiving, they do have that. None of that stuff is super common. Hang gliding, they have that. That it all exists. It's not super common. It does exist. I've never done any of it, but it does exist. How about auto racing, dirt bike racing, kart racing? Yeah, they have a go-kart track in Loja. It's pretty fun. I've done that a few times. They have dirt bike racing. That's actually common, very common. And they also have, they have like, I don't know, they have I don't even know what you call them. They have, it's dune buggy. They have dune buggy races, so they have that, but that's not what I was thinking of. So they have dune buggy races for sure. Then they also have these people take their cars, and they soup them out for really like off-road and rivers and mud and all that kind of stuff. And they have races all over the place. They look really fun. Actually, I would love to do that sometime. All right. How's the development of the area in comparison to the rest of the country? Do you see it eventually becoming similar to larger cities in Ecuador? Yeah, that's a great question. So here's how I would sort of answer that. This area, okay, so the trends in Ecuador tend to be national. That being said, this area is a little different and it's changed a bit over the last couple of years. So the history is that we had a boom basically between 2000, let's say 8 and 13. We had a bust after that. At its worst, it was 15 and 16. Then we had mild stability from 16 to say 19. Excuse me. And then starting in 20, we really started to move up. So it sort of was with the start of COVID, right? So a lot of people with COVID sort of reassessed their lives, I think. And the trend in Ecuador became, I think this was probably global, but became city to rural. So places like Quito and other places like that were hurting the real estate market and development. Places like Vilcabamba, Malacatos were booming. We do a lot of business in rural areas, so it was really good for our business. Then we also had a trend where foreigners, the international, let's say international community, both to live and to invest, really started to understand the value of places like Ecuador, right? safe, easy to immigrate to, year-round growing season, water everywhere, no shortages of anything, no winter, so on and so forth. And so we've seen a huge upswing in the market and a lot of development that's gone on over the last couple of years, to the point where in Vilcabamba right now, houses are really difficult to buy. We're not seeing skyrocketing prices yet, but we've definitely seen a move up in prices. I'd say we're sort of, 10% into kind of the boom, I would say. So we're definitely moving up here. There is a lot of development going on in the area, and that is similar to other places, but there's places, like anywhere in the world, right? There's places that are really developing and there's places that aren't. So, around Manta is interesting. That's definitely developing. There's certain areas that are developing. Loja's, grown a lot since I've been here, and a huge amount as well in the last couple of years. The whole region in this region is really moving. I think that there's something special about this region that is sort of causing it to develop in a larger way, in a sort of faster way than some of these other areas currently. But I'm not an expert on most of the markets in Ecuador. So, is there any golf in Southern Ecuador? Well, funny you would ask. So we have just put a deposit down actually for a piece of land that we are planning to build a golf course on. So that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a big golf course development. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be eco-friendly. It's going to be probably even mix in a little bit of agricultural, definitely be upscale, but prices will be much lower than those kinds of things in the States. Beautiful. It's actually just about 10 minutes or less outside of Malacatos. It's in that sort of little bit drier area. Really a sweet spot. If people are interested in investing into that, definitely something we can talk about. We don't even have the structure set up yet, but it's that is coming. There is other golf courses currently. So there's a golf course in Cuenca. I've never played it. I've heard it's crappy, but I have no idea. There's a nice golf course in Montecristi on the coast near Manta. I like that golf course. There's another beautiful golf course in Hama, although it's only 9 holes, but it's really beautiful. It's oceanfront golf course. It's legit. There's one in Guayaquil that looks really nice. Never played it. There's one in Quito. I've never played that one. So yeah. How much does I'm gonna go probably here about 5 more minutes, guys, and go spend a little time with the family. How much does a hectare of agricultural land cost? 3,000 to 5,000 US. Did I hear that right? From land in dry climate, Catamayo, to land in humid climate, Loja, Vilcabamba. Well, Loja, maybe, I don't know if either of those are actually humid climates, but I don't think they are. I mean, the Orient, the Amazonian region, that's a humid climate. There's areas on the coast that are legitimately humid climate. Yeah, the 3,000 to 5,000 a hectare, and I would say it's more like 1,000 to 5,000 a hectare, but not in these areas. That's very hard to. I mean, the 5,000 number you can find here and there, but those numbers I'm talking about are rare in the Sierra, in the mountains. They are more common in the Amazonian region. There's a few places in the Sierra, places I'm really interested in to do agriculture in short order, especially the far south. And then they're much more common as well on the coast. So yeah, now if you're looking for, so that would be, so Catamayo, I mean, they're definitely paying quite a bit more for good agricultural land in Catamayo. There's still areas out there that you could, dry areas, we'd have to bring in the water. There's areas out there that you might still be able to get something around 5,000 a hectare. Loja, you can find, that's hard to find at this point in Loja. It exists here and there. Vilcabamba, forget it. You're not finding anything like that here. If you go into Kinara, Yangana, maybe here and there a little bit, but not really. You're moving more like 10,000 a hectare or so. But if you get in the Amazonian region, that's where you find those prices. On the coast, inland on the coast, you find those prices, obviously not waterfront. And then there's a few places in the Sierra, especially the Southern Sierra. So if you're interested in agricultural projects, reach out, let's talk. That's something we love. We do that, and we can really help you guys. The biggest, I don't think this is something I didn't understand when I got here. Took me years and a lot of pain and suffering to, figure it out and conquer the topic. But the biggest issue to being successful, the opportunities in Ecuador are endless. They're endless. 100, 200, 300% ROIs grow on trees. the biggest obstacle to success here is the cultural norms, the business culture norms, the bureaucracy, and being able to have the connections to navigate all of that. So that's where, for people who want to invest here, that's where we can really help you a lot. It's taken a lot for us to build that over the years. And, I was unsuccessful here for the first 2 or 3 years, and I'm pretty good at this stuff, and I was unsuccessful here for the first 2 or 3 years. Just because I had no idea what I was doing within the culture, right? And I was getting no on every answer because I came in with a U.S. mentality, U.S. mindset, thinking I could go about things that way, and it's just not the way you can. It's not the way you go about business here. It's not how you can be successful. So it's interesting. All right. Let's see. All right. I'm going to answer a few more here, guys. I'm going to get out of here. Thanks so much for making it a great chat. Hey, if you're enjoying this, hit the thumbs up button, please. I'd appreciate that. And share. I'd love to get some shares on this video. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. All right. Is it hard to set up a bank account? Not at all. It takes 10 minutes. You can do it through a power of attorney and stuff we can help you with or refer you to someone as desired. What's your vision for the area 10 years from now? Whew, that's a long time, but this area is developing really rapidly. I personally think that Malacatos, Vilcabamba are going to become really large towns or small cities. I think that's already happening. I think this whole region is going to develop a lot. I love the way the development is going right now. It's really like high vibe, cool people that are here. And the development is smart. People aren't doing like disgusting, awful projects that ruin the area. It's really great. There's a lot of community oriented stuff. There's a lot of, there's a lot of things that are just oriented around what I consider to be good goals, good people doing them. But the development is fast. So I think all right, you want to hear the truth? I actually think in 10 years and less than that, I think it's already there actually, but it's, I don't know, you got to kind of be in it to see it, I think. But my opinion is it's basically already there, but it'll continue in a really large way. I think Vilcabamba in this area already is and will continue to become sort of a hub for amazing new and cool ideas and sort of the incubator, sort of the testing place, the testing ground, the example for just a lot of amazing things. There's so much energy here, both intellectual, sort of not property, intellectual, energy, financial energy, human resource energy around solutions, around the best ways, the best practices, best ways to do things. I think that's going to continue. And I think I just couldn't be happier with where I live for partly for those reasons. It's a great community. Okay, let's see what we got here. Sorry. Let's see. Oh yeah. How's the vax obligation? Yeah, there is none right now. So that's been completely removed entirely. There was about a month where they had a requirement for certain things that was largely ignored. Ecuador is not very good at implementing things, but there was a few places that were basically major stores in major cities. Basically, right now there's no vaccine requirement at all for anything, including international travel or anything else. What's the average price for a home? You mentioned outside the city, it's less costly. Are the infrastructures available in these areas like water, electricity, internet? Yeah, so the average price to build a home, and they sell for, not a whole lot more than that. Depending on where you are, the market in Vilcabamba is a bit hot right now, but is about 400, and that's getting harder to build at that low end because construction price costs have gone up. About 400 to 800, and go a little higher than that if you really want to get crazy, super luxurious. But it's per square meter for the house, and then obviously got to add in the land, etc. So I don't know. There's no statistics on that, Luis. There's no comps. They don't keep statistics here. They don't aggregate data here of those things. There's nowhere where it's accurate. Accurate sales data is not recorded anywhere. So there's no way to actually know that number. So it's a really hard question to answer. We'd probably have to, discuss sort of in person to give you a better sense. A golf architect. Sure. I'm working with a guy now, I think, who's probably going to be awesome at that. But Brian, I'd love to have the contact and have a chat with him. That'd be awesome. How much do you think is a house and a lot more or less same like what you have in 5 to 10 minutes from town center? You can still find a lot. It depends on the size of the lot, of course. So, if you want a smaller lot, 1,000 square meters, something like that, you can still find that kind of stuff for, let's say, 30, 40, 50 grand. And then again, the house, let's say you want a 100 square meter house, which is small, right? About 1,100 square feet. You could build that for 50, 60, 70 grand. So, that's harder to find now built because it's just tight. There's just not really houses available right now. So you'd have to add quite a bit of that to buy something that's completed. But if you wanted to do your own thing, that's kind of what you'd be looking at for. For something nice that's already built, yeah, you're gonna have to put a nice premium into that at this point. Probably, again, completely depending on lot size, right? If you have a 2,500 square meter lot, like a bigger lot, for example, which is not huge, we're just talking six or seven, about 65 hundredths of an acre. You're gonna be spending about 60 to 75 just for the lot. If it's flat and nice, if it's hilly, much less, right? So this depends, but and then a decent house at this point, you can add another sort of 150 or so into that number. So 200,000, 250 will still get you nice stuff for sure. Even 150 occasionally you can find stuff like that still. All right, no more questions, please. I'll try to run through these last ones. The biggest obstacle is to sell, like always, everywhere. Sure, right now that's really, really, really easy, but sure, there's been times that I've been here that was a huge obstacle and very difficult. I'm loving your program here. Thank you. I'll reach out for your one-on-one advice. Thank you, Don. Appreciate it. Actually, my email, I'll stick my email in the chat real quick. If anyone wants to reach out, I got to be honest with you guys. I'm very, very busy. It sometimes takes me a couple of days to get to emails. So it is not personal and I will get back to you. Okay. Have a great weekend. You too, Michelle. Thank you, Vitaly and Robert. Thanks for the great info. Awesome, Derek. Looking forward to meeting you. Appreciate it. Le philosophe. That's the best I can do. Sorry. What are the top investment opportunities as a silent investor, active operator, and somewhere in between? So yeah, I mean, silent investor. So again, I can only talk about what I know about, right? I'm sure there's lots of investments in Ecuador that I'm not hugely familiar with, and different funds and different stuff in the big cities, Guayaquil, Quito, other places. But yeah, in what we do in the area I'm familiar with, I think your best passive investment is with us, because we know how to handle everything and the returns are phenomenal. So we have several different ways that we go about that. We're actually expanding the sort of agriculture and development side of our businesses now. So it'd be an interesting time to have a conversation. But for me, the biggest money makers that I like the best, that are the easiest to execute and have the best returns, are dividing land, subdividing land, and agriculture. Now you can add in construction, and that's starting to look better. But previously, really, it wasn't worth it necessarily to build, because it might increase your margins by 20 or 30%, but then you got to build a whole bunch of houses. Whereas you're already getting subdividing land and doing a development like that, you're already getting 200-300% return on that. So it's like adding that extra 30% to do all kinds of homes wasn't always worth it. It's getting the point where it is. So that's something we really like a lot. Obviously, that's only passive if someone else is doing it for you, but or silent. Sorry, you didn't say passive. So there's lots of silent investor opportunities like that. My answer to do it yourself would be the same. The only issue with that, agriculture and subdivisions. The only issue with that is you got to know what you're doing. You got to partner with someone. It doesn't have to be us, obviously. But if you're going to come down here and you're going to jump right, like here's would be my advice: if you're going to come down here with the intention of investing yourself, without and just sort of making the contacts and going through the process piece by piece, I would start small. I'd really spend like a minimum of a year or two here before I put any sizable capital into anything. And I would make sure that I was very comfortable with the numbers. With the culture and the way to go about things. And I had the contacts. That was the mistake I made when I got here. And it was very costly. So, I mean, I think that there's that old, I've said this before, but there's those anecdotes. I remember in business school learning about this. There's those anecdotes where U.S. corporations have come to Latin America and failed over and over and over again. And I understand why now. The only reason I didn't fail outright is because I'm very stubborn and I just stuck with it. And I'm a gambler. I'm willing to lose and lose and lose until I get it right. But yeah, that's really the main thing. So just be careful. The returns, again, are phenomenal. The opportunities are incredible. But you got to have the contacts, the know-how, the cultural knowledge to be able to take advantage of them. All right. Hello, from I don't know if that I think so. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody being here. Have a great Friday night, a great weekend. Again, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell. And yeah, get in touch with us about anything. And we are looking for team members right now as well. We're launching a bunch of new businesses, we're expanding. Ecuador is really getting hot. It's a time, it's an interesting time in Ecuador. It's a fun time to be looking at Ecuador, living in Ecuador, investing in Ecuador. So if you've got skills, if you want to work down here, if you want to invest, definitely get in touch and we'll talk. All right, guys, have a great night. Talk to you soon.